It's that time of the year for some nasty power creeping Fallen units. The Beyond Control banner features 40 heroes, and yes, Fallen heroes are added to the permanent pool. You'll be able to get Fallen ults of Lilith, Ninian, Gustav, and Lady Rhea. Gustav really came back 3 books later. We'll be talking about everyone's stats and skills, plus talk about playstyles and builds. As a reminder, the Fallen banner is generally busted all around, which means no 4-star focus unit. However, everyone is free to get the 47 spark. First up is Fallen Lilith, who is a red flying dragon this time. For stats, she has 39 HP, 40 attack, 43 speed, 29 defense, and 33 res. Great attack and speed stats with a balance of defense and res, although defense is a little low. This Lilith ult is not too different from her original counterpart, but she's got some good old power creep as expected from this banner. For ult skills, Lilith has Draconic Aura and decided to go premium with attack speed catch 4 and dive bomb 3, 2 very strong offensive skills, and admittedly they aren't even her most interesting passive. For her weapon, Lilith's going to have the Silent Power, which grants a flat +3 speed, bringing her up to 43 speed total. She is able to move to a space within 2 spaces of her support partner, and yes, like her original form, this has no range limit. At start of turn, if Lilith is within 3 spaces of her support partner, both of them are going to get the no follow-up status for 1 turn. Finally, at start of combat, if Lilith has more than 25% HP, she gets +5 to all stats. So even though we don't have an ascended hero, Fallen Lilith really is just a 2.0 version of her OG form. She relies on a support partner and can warp to any tile within 2 spaces around them, which is just dumb. Lilith can literally be across the entire map and show up ready to rumble. However, she must start the turn within 3 spaces of her partner to get the no follow-up status, and this is pretty important. As long as she wins the speed check, Lilith can use dive bomb plus no follow-up to double instantly, and with global warping, that's pretty powerful. This combo hopefully secures the kill for Lilith because after combat she procs Speed Smoke 4. Tier 4 smokes are here, and like last year's menace skills, I do think these are going to become mainstay options for some units. After combat, it inflicts -7 speed on the target and foes within 2 spaces. This is better than before since these stat smokes did not debuff the main target if they lived. What's better is that the user also gets a +6 speed buff and they get dodge for 1 turn. Big thing to know, tier 4 smokes are inheritable by everyone except for healers. This is pretty huge. So many units would love to jump on the chance to add dodge to their repertoire. I mentioned speed smoke a ton for this month's refines because you could add dodge to someone like Garneth, who's a mage. You could even add it to army units if you wanted, and of course flyers and cavaliers will take any source of damage reduction. Not only do you get guard, but you can also create a 13 speed advantage to use it. While all of this is amazing, the big balancing factor is that you have to fight before reaping these benefits. Menace skills can set up advantages before you get into the battle, but they have a range limit. With speed smoke 4, more offensive units can get into the fray, KO a target, and then weather the enemy phase with dodge. Combine this on units with contour or other damage reduction skills, and well, things can definitely get pretty interesting. For the most part, this entire banner is kitted out to fit their needs. For Lilith, her game plan is to warp in, double tap a dive bomb, and the speed smoke proc will gonna give her dodge for big speed advantages. She also has a good amount of stats to work with, which is nice with damage reduction, although you still need to watch out for archers and of course dragon slayers. If you want to set Lilith up by sending her support partner in first, the blade session seal is great for the extra stats. You can just go with Swift Sparrow, and she can also make space for solo skills. While speed smoke 4 is fun, nothing wrong with using the good old rain C skills for consistent debuffs. You could also pull off some weird maneuvers by warping ahead of the team, then ferry allies around with things like guidance. If Lilith is going to get hurt or battle for a while, you could run something like Desperation instead of Dive Bomb. She can run Near Trace for Kanto, but just remember that warping sets you to 0 of remaining movement. Unfortunately, there are no res-based near trace skills yet, so until they come out, you're kinda just stuck with defense debuffs. Another option is Dragon Wall, to be like Legend of Grima, and you could run Distant Counter, but Lilith isn't immune to arrows. Overall, pretty fun base kit, and now with Summoner duels, even enemy Liliths might start warping in from the backlines. Next up we have Fallen Ninian, who is running it back as an infantry blue dragon. Unlike Lilith, OG Ninian did not have a unique weapon, and with Dancer Refines being left in the forgotten closet, she's decided to join the dark side for some updated power creeping. Ninian will have 45 HP, 27 attack, 40 speed, 23 defense, and 36 res. She's once again focusing on having high base HP to stand out, and sub 30 attack basically sends the message that this Dancer isn't meant to be a secondary damage source. Ninian will have a speed super boon to go with her nice 40 base speed, and she sacrifices defense to put her extra stat points into res. She could definitely take a magic damage hit. For old skills, Ninian is bringing the utility with blue dual infantry 4 for arena scoring, and the bonus HP will be useful to activate Odd Pulse Tie. Like her brother Nils, Ninian can provide that potential powerful special cooldown penalty on pre-charged specials. Last up, she comes with crossbow attack for across the map +5 attack. To enjoy the benefits of a unique weapon, Ninian has Enveloping Breath, which grants +3 res, which brings her up to 39 res total. If dance is used, inflict -7 attack and res and guard on foes in cardinal directions of Ninian and target through their next actions. This is basically attack and res ruse, but tailored onto a dancer. Last, if Ninian has 125% HP, she gets +6 speed and res during combat. So the main draw is that nice attack and res ruse ability to inflict big debuffs and guard on enemies from long range. It's a very nice effect to have, and it can help Ninian stand out as well. For her own personal combat, she does get +6 speed and res, which is nice, but again, not a lot of damage to back up her hits, so don't expect Ninian to be killing everything even if she does double. While a unique weapon is great, Fallen Ninian even gets a unique dance, Call to Flame. Grants another action to target and grants +6 attack and special cooldown charge +1 per attack during combat to that ally for the turn. Additionally, if Ninian dances a dragon ally, they get +1 movement. While attack and res ruse is pretty great already, a Call to Flame is providing even more benefits. I do think it's quite strong. +6 attack field buff is obviously nice, but the special cooldown buff is amazing for anyone. Like with Thor's World Breaker, you can handle steady breath type cooldown to unit types who don't normally get to run Breath Sacred Seals. This can be fun for tanky ranged units or just cavalry flyers in general who do not get a lot of options. Do understand that Ninian can buff any unit type, but the movement buff is only for dragons. She can be a good pairing for Lilith while she isn't teleporting, or maybe help out low mobility dragons like Duma to get to the action faster. She should also be able to give Nifla and Muspel 4 movement, but we're kind of long past the point of that shock thanks to Luthien Sigurd. Fallen Ninian is a very much ready to roll. She has multiple fantastic support abilities tied to her dance, and that's pretty much all she needs to do. Her passes are just extra, and her current base kit is perfectly fine. If you need Odd Pulse Tie, then here it is with an HP boost, and crossbow attack stacks with the attack field buff of Call to Flame. For magic damage dealers, Ninian can also inflict those res debuffs on enemies. If you just want to buff an ally, debuff enemies, and let them come to you, then you can take a buffing Sacred Seal like Drive Attack or Distant or Close Guard. War Dragons is an option if you want, and for HP based skills, Ninian can also provide infantry pulse support or apply sudden panic or panic ploy. Since she does have a good amount of flat resistance, you could also run a sabotage B skill for extra debuffing. While we aren't really expecting Ninian to do some fighting, you could try to boost her damage, maybe slap on good old Triangle Adept to fight red units, or you could go with just Fury. If you really want some tanking power, you could run Dragon Wall. That would be pretty fun, and her res debuffs could help other Dragon Wall enthusiasts. Another great Fallen unit, and this is definitely a dancer worth having one copy around. Our only non-dragon in this banner is Fallen Gustav, who's a bit late, but he picked up some prime perks while making his appearance since book 3. This version of Gustav is still an Axe Cavalier with 40 HP, 41 attack, 25 speed, 30 defense, and 30 res. He's going to have an attack super boon, which is great, and Gustav is on the slower, tankier side, although 25 speed isn't super low. It can make a difference with his weapon. For old skills, we have some more amazing skills. Bonfire for big burst damage and attack and defense catch 4 to boost it further. Gustav then has attack and defense near trace 3 for good old Kanto, and some extra attack and defense debuffs. For his weapon, Glittner from the book 3 story is now Headsman Glittner, and it got some sweet upgrades. Accelerated specials, and if Gustav has more than 25% HP, he inflicts -5 attack, speed, and defense on the foe, and he gets special cooldown charge +1 while inflicting special cooldown charge -1 on the foe per attack. Last up, if the foe can counter back or if they initiate, Gustav's going to get a follow-up attack. So this is a very solid weapon for a slower unit. Gustav gets faster specials with essentially special fighters, so that's already pretty great, and he can even get free follow-up attacks to basically become an arm unit. For player phase initiations, Gustav only doubles against those that hit back, so you can't double ranged foes or if you use units that apply the flash status. That said, Gustav does inflict speed debuffs, and he has 25 base speed, so he could still score a double with some speed buffs. The extra speed also helps when he's free follow-up, cancels out a Wary Fighter skill, so it is important to have. To make Glittner even better, Gustav has attack smoke 4, and just like the speed version, this one is pretty fun. After combat, inflict -7 attack on the target and foes within 2 spaces, and then grant +6 defense and rise to the user, and they gain a status that prevents a follow-up attack for 1 turn. So the defensive res field bows are great, but Gustav can now block a follow-up attack to make him tankier on the enemy phase. Obviously, no follow-up's not going to care about this, and it messes with his weapon too, but then the enemy team still has to contend with a tanky unit and some good old attack deals. Attack Smoke 4 may not grant dodge, but follow-up prevention is still amazing to have. I definitely think the tier 4 smokes will become top tier for PvE content, where there's a lot of enemy reinforcements around the map. Additionally, you can give follow-up prevention to faster units to sort of simulate partial no follow-up. Should be clear by now that the Fallen banner is basically top tier all around. Gustav is no different and is immediately ready to go. He can initiate and double melee or close counter foes, he can charge bonfire in one action, and he applies attack smoke 4 after combat. You can use contour to position afterwards, and now the enemy has -7 attack, Gustav gains +6 defense and res, and he prevents a follow-up attack. If you can't negate that, you are in big trouble, and even if you don't bring guard, Gustav can charge up a bonfire for an instant counter. For Sacred Seals, you can go with a solo of your choosing, but Mystic Boost could be fun for healing. I think Gustav's base kit is great, but you could also try other fun things like Sturdy Surge for % healing, or a low for better one-on-one combat. You could run attack and defense menace for upfront benefits, but attack smoke 4 is great if Gustav has to deal with a mob. If you want, you could run flow refresh, but it only matters if a faster unit has follow-up denial and it isn't running no follow-up. If you instead prefer a more fun mixed phase one-man army build, you could slap in distant counter. Remember, Gustav will instantly counter a bonfire just like many other annoying units, so if squishy foes aren't prepared, they could go down pretty fast. Now, Gustav could run Gale Force, but remember he doesn't auto double units who can't hit back. If you want a Gale Force, target selection is important. Overall, very fun unit. Fallen Gustav gets so many amazing perks that other slower cavs struggle to get, so he's in a really good position to run things like Nurture's Kanto while still having access to guard or cooldown reduction. The King of Asker is here to show Alphonse how it's done. Our last unit for today is Fallen Rhea, who's a colorless armored dragon. Do we have another Fallen Edelgard on our hands this year? Well, let's take a look. For stats, Rhea is super beefy with 46 HP, 43 attack, 18 speed, 40 defense, and 43 res. Extremely min-max for low speed to no surprise, and she has attack speed or attack defense super boons. Rhea may not run over your team solo, but she is going to be a major pain to take down. For ult skills, she has Glimmer as her special, and then she has Brazen Stance 3 and to no surprise, defense and res near save. Super tanky army unit with Savior and a tier 3 dual stance, yeesh. For her weapon, Ruinous Frost, it accelerates specials, and if foe initiates or has more than 75% HP, Rhea is going to get +6 attack, she inflicts -6 attack on the foe, and her first attack deals bonus true damage equal to 40% of the foe's res stat, and then finally, Rhea and the enemy cannot make a follow-up attack. So, Fallen Rhea has some pretty standard abilities, and faster specials means she instantly charges and counters with Glimmer when she does go to save for her team. Like Fallen Edelgard, she has Wary Fighter, which means Rhea herself won't be making follow-up attacks, where at least there is some bouncing going on, plus she doesn't have Raging Storm for another action. With only one attack, Rhea empowers it with the 40% of the foe's res stat. It's a bit weird, but basically it means against low res foes, Rhea already deals really high base damage, whereas against higher tanky res foes, she steals some of that to still hurt a good bit. For example, if the foe has 40 res, Rhea is going to get 60 extra damage. Now, Rhea has a unique passive called True Dragon Wall. As the name states, it's actually just a better Dragon Wall B skill where for the first round of combat in either phase, it can reduce damage up to 60% if Rhea has 10 or more res than the foe. For any other round any round of combat, it's the default 40% damage reduction. Now there is one other bonus where you have another beast or dragon ally, not including Rhea on your team. She heals 7 HP after combat, and she heals 7 HP every single turn. Yikes. So another similarity to Edelgard, but if you do not take Rhea out, she will literally heal after every single fight and another health bump each new turn. That is very powerful for a save armor, and drawn out fights are going to be tough to deal with. True Dragon Wall is definitely true to its name. To no surprise, Fallen Rhea also doesn't really need any changes. Pure enemy phase near save build. She hits 53 res to use True Dragon Wall and inflicts -6 attack on the foe while getting some decent damage off on her first attack. If you want, because of excited specials, Rhea can run Warding Breath into an instant iceberg proc, and that's over 25 plus damage. You don't have to, since Glimmer is going to proc regardless, but consistent damage can be huge if Rhea faces higher res enemies. Speaking of which, high res foes can potentially mess her up. If Rhea loses the res check, she gets no damage reduction, and if she doesn't have distant counter like Edelgard by default. Rhea can be a perfectly fine bar save unit, but you're gonna lose out on A skills like Brazen Stance 3, or Defense Res Bond 4, or maybe a Unity skill. She doesn't have guard by default either, and offensive threats are gonna be able to counter her Wary Fighter ability to hit her twice. In those scenarios, while damage reduction is dandy, you still don't want to let any specials go through, especially things like Deadeye or Lethality. While Rhea should be super sturdy, you still want a Dragon or Beast on your team to heal her up. She gets no healing without them, so that can be a factor in your team comps. Overall, if you get Rhea, I'm sure she will do perfectly fine out of the box. Fallen Ninian is a pretty amazing partner for Rhea with extra debuffs and special cooldown, plus a ton of attack. Her bonus movement may also help Rhea get around if need be. That will be it for this banner breakdown. Another year, another strong selection of evil looking units. You basically can't go wrong with any of the units here, and they all have amazing fodder skills as well. I'm excited for those tier 4 smoke skills, and I do wonder what Defense and Res Smoke 4 will get as their bonus effects. Personally, I'm thinking I'm going to try summoning on this banner. I am hoping for some luck, and I'm thinking of sparking Ninian since I do want her support skills. Let me know your thoughts on this Fallen banner, and good luck if you're going to be summoning. We'll be back soon to talk about the next Grand Hero battle unit, Fallen Muraram, and he's got some interesting traits on hand. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.